Alrighty, so today we are going to be going over a tier list for the best TURs in the game. Now, usually with these, I like to kind of differentiate these between easy A's and super easy A's and stuff like that, but I think for the sake of the top 10 today, I'm just going to toss all of them into sort of a little bit of a list here. Again, if you guys don't know, in my opinion, the way the Dokkan has shifted over the last really 3 years, maybe 2 years, we have went from teams where you kind of wanted to have TURs sort of find their way into teams predominantly made with LRs in order to make the LRs look better. But we have now reached an era of power creep where, you know, TURs and LRs, like LRs give themselves key support, LRs give themselves extra key per orb, and they do all these other things with regular support that it has kind of made TURs, like, they can still be good. There are some gems in there for sure. We're going to be talking about some really good ones today. But with that, you know, it's sort of just like not really a TURs world that we live in anymore. So I feel like just kind of combining super easy A's and easy A's and regular Dokkan Fest TURs as well as one non-Dokkan Fest TUR. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. I feel like we can just make that work, and it's not going to, like, you know, ruin the vibe of the tier list, right? I don't think that there is a clear and distinguishable gap between, like, the best easy A TUR and the best regular TUR, right? So just want you guys to keep that in mind as we do today's video. Again, with these intros, I kind of make sure that they are a bit longer so that way you guys understand the perspective of which I'm coming from. And with that being said, don't forget that this is just tiers today. It's not going to be, I'm going to brand it as a top 10, so you can treat this as a top 10 if you'd like, but again, it's going to be more of just basing the units in tiers. And if you want to argue that a character is in the Z tier, in the S plus, or in the S tier, that's completely fine. It's all just for fun and for discussion at the end of the day. Some of you might want to know where your characters stand at that you just pulled, so I have to keep that in mind. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into today's list. Now, rounding out our S tier, again, keep in mind these are not like strictly ranked. These are like the 10 to 8 range of the TURs right now. All very good characters, but I just think that there are better characters of this rarity. Now, starting off with Tech Ultimate Gohan. If you guys don't know what Tech Ultimate Gohan is all about, this is a character that prides himself on defensive stacking. He was the sole reason that guard is as hard to get as it is, or as it was for a couple of years now. Guard is being handed out a little bit more these days, but it used to be almost impossible to get because of this guy right here. Now, I don't know what happened with this tier list format. I think this guy just used like wrong things. I kind of just went and I wanted to find one with the heroes characters. Yeah, spoiler alert, right? But yeah, I don't know what happened with some of these older characters, but you guys still get the idea, right? It's Tech Ultimate Gohan here. So Tech Ultimate Gohan, right? This character, guard, defense, defensive stacking, offensive stacking, gets extra attack when he takes a hit, gets extra attack when that guard is activated, basically, which is at all times. This character defensively is going to hold it down for you. He's going to link up well with characters like STR Vegeta in base, right? It works well with the LR Ultimate Gohan. You could run him with Beast Gohan in very specific scenarios. You know, you can make this character work really well. So defensively, this guy is going to work out pretty well, but the issue with him is turn 1 is not going to be like his absolute best friend, right? This character right here, I guess we kind of move, just give me something to look at, right? But like, I think that turn 1 is just the way that this character is going to perform. I think that it could be a little bit of a knock to him. Like, if we want to talk about like a character that's built up like 20 turns in, like this character is basically like one of the best of the game still, right? So just keep that in mind. Now, moving on to the next character, we have Toppo. Let me actually pull up these characters so I can talk about their kits a little bit. All right, so Toppo, right? This character right here, I think that this is a really, really well done TUR. Now, you know, when this character came out, I'm sure most of you know that, like, especially on Global, right, or on JP, right, this character did not come out. They came out when Special Pose wasn't, like, all the way there yet. And this character, especially on Global, his release was kind of frustrating because of the way that Ginyu dropped, right? Because LR Captain Ginyu drops, and then this Toppo was not there to accompany him, right? So with this character, limited to Special Pose very heavily, but thankfully with Special Pose, again, like we talked about earlier, this category was kind of fleshed out a decent bit, right? We were able to get some characters that could work well on the Universal Survival Saga team. You know, we have a character like Dispo right here. This Coquette is just okay, but I wouldn't say that she's like a world beater or anything like that, right? Rebrianne, Rebrianne, Rosie, and Kakunsa. This character is very good as well. They have a giant form and stuff like that, very helpful. This is just like, I wouldn't say they're phenomenal, phenomenal, but they are a good unit, right? So if you want to run like a Universal Survival Saga edition of this team, where you can put like UI Gokus in there, Evolution Blue Vegeta, you can easily get away with doing that because of like the tournament participants category, right? Or you could just run him on like a UI Goku lead, right? I'm pretty sure that does work. So keep that in mind. I think that this can work. And it just has to be on the team, not on the turn. So it's very good, right? We have defensive ability, and then when we transform into the God of Destruction Toppo, we are going to be becoming, we're going to be a Rainbow Orb Changer. We're going to have damage reduction, right? Reduced damage received by 80% with each attack received, right? So like, that extra damage reduction, this character is just going to be silly when you can transform with them, right? So I think that this is definitely one of the better TURs in the game, especially with that damage reduction, with the offensive output that he can put up. The damage reduction, like I said, is going to be really good. We have Ki Blast Nullification Super, very underrated mechanic, right? Especially when you can get it. It's not going to be like the most common thing in the world, but when you can have it, it is really good. So Toppo, I think, is a fine sort of S tier unit. If you want to argue this character's S plus, by all means, go ahead. But let's go ahead and move on to the next character in S plus, which is going to be our boy Rose. Now, I believe we could pull up Rose from here, right? Yeah. So if we go to Super Bosses, we can actually pull him up right now. And with this character right here, Rose, I think this is like a rare case. I should have kept the category pulled up, but this is like a rare case of a unit that like they release and you're like, okay, I see the framework with this unit. I just need to see the help they need to get, right? Like, so we look at a character like who's not on this list, right? AGL First Form Frieza, right? It's like this character, if they get what they need, they're going to be like one of the best in the game, right? Because of just the way that they work with the Terrifying Conqueror buffs that they potentially would need. If they were to get them, spoiler alert, they did not, but they could really be good. And Rose was like the polar opposite of this, right? Where this character comes out early February 2024, right? If this is this was a global first, right? So this character came out before Saiyan Day. And so that way Global had him before before JP did, and it's like, we get buffs like Cell Max, right? Like, let me just look at this category just so we're all on the same page, right? It's kind of hard to remember every single buff, but I just know that this character got buffed out the ass, right? So it's like, we just look at like characters that came out and got buffs, right? Toppo comes out. This Frieza was out already, so that's another super boss buff, right? We get Cell Max, right? We get the Easy A for Jiren. On JP, we get AGL Jiren, right? Like, all of these characters are kind of just adding up. We have Kefla, right? Like, all of these different Easy A's, TURs, it like all kind of working together to help this Rose get to where he needed to be, because he had all of the super boss buffs that he needed, right? The one big issue with this character that kind of made things a little bit conflicting, and it still is to this day if you just run like a pure Super Bosses team, right? The domain can kind of be a bit of a pain. Just because, you have other characters on the team that are looking to get their domain off too, right? We have characters like Zamasu going into the Omnipotent Zamasu form, right? Or we have a character like Dragon Ball Super Broly. When you transform, he's going to have a domain active when you go into full power. So that is sort of where this character can kind of run into a bit of an issue. But with all these additional attacks that they're doing, all these different things this character is doing, I think that, especially with the domain active, being effective against all types, we have damage reduction, you can toss them in slot 1 with that. This character really is just going to work out very well, and is also going to be a good sort of staple unit to run on the Super Bosses team. So that's why I have this character where I have them. Let's go ahead and move on to the Z tier. Now, I always do this, right? So you can just see the S plus tier. You can see Z as well. That's fine, right? We'll move this up. So S plus, to me, Fat Buu has seen a bit of a resurgence, right? I think with this character in specific, it's like how do I word this, right? It's like the presence of Goku, the new Dragon Ball Heroes Goku, like, you can toss this guy on his team and he works out really well. What makes this character so good, right? Defensively, they need to stack, right? They're a defensive stacker, but to sort of counter that, if they get caught in a situation where they are not built up and they take a super in a bad spot, guess what? They can revive. Right? This is a character that could potentially bail you out, and then they also have another mechanic with their active skill where we're going to be changing the whole board to Candy Key Spheres, as well as giving the boss a Ghost Usher effect, right? If you guys don't know, the Ghost Usher effect is one of the most overpowered things in the game and could potentially lead to a character aging so much better than they deserve to, right? The tech TUR androids, right? The Dokkan Fest. People, I won't name names, right? But people like were trying to make a case for that character legitimately being like a top 3 TUR during the 9th anniversary meta, right? Just because of what they did in the Cell Max fight, right? We were able to go in there and use their Ghost Usher to potentially prolong the fight with a turn where you're not going to be taking any damage, and then they start to seal the enemy, which is really important, right? So the tech androids, because of that Ghost Usher, they made it through the 7th anniversary power creep, they made it through the 8th anniversary power creep, and then they also by some proxy, survived the 9th anniversary power creep, the way that they were able to be protected by Beast Gohan and stuff like that, right? Granted that, almost any unit can be protected by Beast Gohan, right? But he's the protector of all. But with that being said, the tech androids are also providing something to the fight as well. So this isn't about the androids, it's about Majin Buu, right? Having the revive, having the guard, right? The defensive stacking, the offensive thing is not like the best thing. His offensive capability is not what this character's for. He can do like some okay attack stats, doing a few supers, right? But really what makes this character so impactful is the revive that he has, the defensive stacking, the guard, right? And the ability to launch a Ghost Usher at the enemy. That is sort of where this character is going to be holding it down. So I think that this character is definitely worthy of an S+ rating. And you could easily argue him to be higher or lower, I think, but I like him in the S+ ranking. Now, next, our newest friend here over on Global, or in Dokkan, right? Universal Blue Goku, right? Now, I know people are going to want to put this guy in Z, and you could easily make that argument, right? I think that this character is really good. I just don't think he's better than the 3 characters above him. I think that this character, again, with the orb requirement that he has, that can be, it's not very hard to get, but it can potentially be a bit of a pain. Sometimes I've used him now, right? There are every couple turns, right, or every few, like 3, 4, maybe 5 times I see him on a rotation, you won't get those orbs, right? And defensively, just the fact that you have to kind of run him on a heroes team for the most part, right? And he's just like a Kamehameha 170 for this lead in Power Beyond Super Saiyan for the most part, right? Not having like the heroes category allies and stuff like that, like kind of running him off of that, you can do it, but it's not the way that you want to do it, right? Because like this guy, it's like you're really supposed to be running him on the heroes team, but you can, like you can see here, it's not too bad. It's just this right here is going to be a problem, right? Launched an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack and randomly changes key spheres to a certain type to STR when there are 3 or more crossover category allies. So where does that become a bit of an issue? You're stuck to the heroes team if you want him to be an orb changer. Otherwise, you need to have another orb changer around him. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem, right? Because you're not going to be able to get the key spheres with when you get 5 or more. Because if you don't have a rainbow orb changer, or you don't have another key sphere changer, it's going to, or just like a regular orb changer in general, it's going to be a little bit of a problem for this character to always be at his full potential. I think when you're running this guy on a heroes team, I think he can anchor down slot 1 really well. I think that there are times when Limit Breaker Vegeta might look a little bit better in slot 1 defensively. Not every time, but sometimes. So to me, it's not just like this guy is cut and dry, like a tier above the rest of the pack in terms of TURs, or in terms of like the heroes team, sort of like what Limit Breaker Vegeta was last year. But overall, this is still a really, really good character. Like, I really don't have much negative to say about him. It's just that crossover restriction can be a bit of a pain. But I like what this character's bringing to the table. I think offensively, he's doing a decent bit. I think defensively, he's bringing a lot to the table if you do get his orbs. And with the guard and the damage reduction, that is just a really good combination. So I don't have much negative to say. S+, saying you're basically like a top 5 unit in the game. That's not an insult one bit. So let's go ahead and move on to Vegeta. I'll kind of just take you guys with me as I'm pulling these characters up, right? But Vegeta, right? Vegeta defensively holds it down really well, transforms offensively. He has his moments. I think that if you just kind of want to look at this character, somehow it's so tough to evaluate this guy because like at times I think that he's underrated and at times I think he's overrated. Because like some people will try and tell you this is still the best TUR in the game, and I just don't agree with that. I think this character's really good, right? We have the higher defensive boost for HP. We have the additional attacks when there's an ally whose name includes Goku. Very easy to do. Again, the guard and the damage reduction, a really good combo. Stacking attack and defense. This character has potential to work in short burst form content. We have the ability to work in long form content where you're going to want to stack and get those numbers up for sure. I think that this character, all in all, and the ability to seal a super attack, very, very valuable, right? Sealing supers, when you can do that, it is really overpowered. So again, when you have things right here, like we can see the extra attack, the extra defense and stuff like that when receiving an attack. When we take that first hit, we get the seal. We're greatly raising attack and defense for 1 turn. We're doing all of these really good things that kind of combine to what makes this character really good. Also, if you are somebody who was really unlucky and did not pull the Super Saiyan Trio during Worldwide, or you don't have the Int Super Saiyan Trio, this guy can sub in and be a nice little Super Saiyan leader for you if you want to run the Trio as a friend lead. So, something to keep in mind. I think that this character is really, really good. Right, launches an additional super attack within the same turn. So if this character takes a hit, not only is he sealing, he's also doing an action break. And if you guys don't know, action break is one of the most clutch mechanics in the game because of the ability that it has, right? When we do an action break, we can potentially take it away. We could take away an AoE. We could take away a heal. We could take away a normal. We could take away a super, right? It takes away literally whatever the enemy's next action is. They don't get to do that. So in times, that's going to save you during a run. This is like, you know, something that made the 7th anniversary LR so good, right? We think about when we transform and we get that 18 key super attack, and then we go and do the active skill, right? Or not the active skill. We go and do like an 18 key super and we get that action break. Like if you think about Red Zone Broly, I don't know how many times, like sometimes I just didn't know because I don't have a scouter. How many times was the action break the AoE super that Red Zone STR Broly did, right? Like how many runs did I win because the 7th anniversary LR's got an action break? Like, I don't know, but it's a really valid thing. So Vegeta, I think this is a really, really, really good character. Let's go ahead and talk about Roshi now before we get into the Z tier. Again, you guys already saw it. So if we pull up our boy Muten Roshi, look at my typing. I'm on fire today. Oh yeah. I'm trying to do this quick. All right. We have Roshi here. This is, again, a really good character, more of a Turtle School leader than he is a Peppy Gal's leader, right? But, again, with the restriction to the Turtle School, it can be a little bit tricky at times, but it's not too bad, right? Have damage reduction, we got attack and defense for Peppy Gal's category allies, and we have Bunny Bulma around. This character is going to work really well. We have really good support. It can be kind of annoying at times when a character like this is kind of meant to be ran as like a floater, but it potentially really can work out, right? So you can see we have a Bulma unit super attack. They're all basically the same effects. If we have the unit, we have the chance to stun, so that's going to be really good. But if we pull up the Turtle School category, right, this is like one of these categories where it's just like... They were cooking something fierce, like, and it's gotten much better over like the last like year or so, right? When you think about like we start at like the 9th anniversary, right? We have this character right here who got his EZA, right? We have this character who came out. We have this character who came out. I believe this guy got his EZA during the 9th anniversary, but whatever, he wasn't that good. Universal Blue Goku's now on this team, the #1 TUR in the game. We'll talk about him later, in my opinion. This guy's on the team, right? Like, Turtle School has a lot of good things going for it. So when you have Roshi giving this attack and defense plus 50% support on the team, it's just like UI Goku's going to look a whole lot better. AGL UI Goku's going to look a whole lot better. We have Grandpa Gohan, who's a really good free-to-play LR from the World Tournament, right? He's going to be looking better with this Master Roshi around. Bunny Bulma, you want to run on the team for sure if you have both of them. This team is going to work out really well, and what Roshi's able to do for the rest of the team, I think is really important to kind of talk about how good this character is. So Roshi, really good support, decent offense, really good defense, right? This character is just going to work out really well as a floater. It's kind of annoying that a floater is going to be a character you're running 2 of, but again, keeping that support of 50% on every 2 out of 3 turns, I think is going to be really valuable for the team, and it's just going to work really well with a team like Turtle School. And Peppy Gals is kind of just whatever. I'm more thinking about the Turtle School side of things. So there we go, right? That is the S+ tier. Let's move on to the B tier. I apologize for the render quality on Beerus. Again, that's just the tier list that I used. So what do we have here? We have 3 of the best TURs in the game right now. If you guys don't know, why is this Goku so good? We'll just kind of go in order here, right? Why is Super Saiyan 3 Goku so good? Well, here's what it comes down to for me. I think that this Super Saiyan 3 Goku, why I have him above the rest of the game right now in terms of just the status of TURs, right? It is the Janemba fight. It is the Gogeta fight. It is Cell Max, right? It is any other, not even, the Bulma fight is like the one fight where I'll be like, okay, we can talk about somebody else, right? But to me, it's what this character is able to do defensively, turn 1, where you're going to need a character to help you hold down slot 1 the most. And what is that going to be in the Janemba fight? It's going to be a character like this. This is a character with 90% damage reduction on that first turn when there's a Buu Saga ally, right? And it's not that hard to get Buu Saga allies these days. You know, the Buu Saga is not a team that is like struggling right now, right? You want to know who's on Buu Saga right now? I'll give you a hint. It's one of the best characters in the game, like a top 3 character in the game, and his name is Gohan, right? He's right here. It's really easy to run this guy on teams alongside this Goku. You can run him on Kamehameha. Like, so how many teams these guys share, right? Buu Saga, we have Kamehameha, right? They'll be on Bond of Parent and Child down here. They'll be on Earthbred Fighters. I think that's it. Yeah, Goku Family, Bond of Friendship, or maybe not Bond of Friendship, but Bond of Parent and Child, Earthbred Fighters, Buu Saga, Kamehameha. Like, teams that you're going to be running those 2 characters on, it's not hard to do whatsoever, right, to get these characters together. And it's going to really lead to just a crazy combination, right? Are they going to be the best linking partners for each other? No. but are they going to be able to work really well as a rotation due to slot 1 defensive capabilities and slot 2 offensive capabilities from Gohan? Absolutely. This guy has the damage reduction, he has the ability to stun the enemy if that's a potential thing that they can do. It's really easy for this guy to crit, it's really easy for this guy to do 2 to 3 super attacks almost every turn. I think sometimes you can even get up to 4. I might be wrong on that, but I know I've seen 3 for sure. This guy can do crazy good damage at times, he can do crazy good defensive things. I just think that right now in the short burst form content that we have for the most part, I think that right now this guy is just the best TUR because of that ability that he has right away. 90% damage reduction is not a joke. There are not many bosses that can get through something like that. So that is why I have this guy overall as the best TUR in the game. But if you want to argue somebody else, I think that's completely fine. Moving on to Beerus. Now, Beerus, right? I think that I really cannot type today, but looking at Beerus, I think that this character, like, you want to talk about exceeding expectations, that is what this super easy A Beerus does. Look at this guy, right? Like, we have additional attack and defense out the wazoo, so we're already up to 160, right? And then in slot 2, we're already up to, what is that, 320? Can I math good? Yeah, my math is good, 320. And then we go right here, and then we have this right here, which is going to put us up to 480%, right? Then when we go up to here and we get 4 hits, we're going to be up to 640%. And then we're also going to have 60% damage reduction at the beginning of the turn. With all of this, we're going to have a great chance of launching another super attack. And on top of that, we're giving support. And we're not done yet. We have a rage form. So with rage, I'm pretty sure that just means that we take away supers and AoEs. Like, this is a stupid character. It really is. It's hard to be upset about a character that came out in 2016 being this good. So I hope that makes sense on why I'm talking so highly about this character. Running him on, what is it? It's mostly just movie bosses, right? That's where you're really going to be getting the most out of this character. Planetary Destruction as well. You run him alongside the Broly team, and you are good to go, my friends. That is all you got to do. Plug and play him in there, and this is going to be a beast of a unit for you. This guy, this is exactly what we want from old characters, getting them right up into relevancy. This guy is literally like one of the best characters in the game now, and it's kind of crazy to think that, but that is where he is at. So, last but not least, will Planetary Destruction give me Slug? I want to say it will. It probably won't. I'm dumb, right? Yeah, I'm dumb. How can I get to Slug? We want to go to movie bosses. So, Slug, right? This will be the last character here. This is a really good character. I think that they did a phenomenal job in terms of a less than stellar, like, hype Dokkan Fest, right? Demonic power, inhuman deeds, movie bosses, really good leader skill, right? This is like a cope lead if you don't have Tech Broly, right? We've got extra damage reduction right away. We have more damage reduction at the start of turn, right? So like we're starting right away when we have the demonic power. You know, we have, it's really easy to get that, right? So if we pull up the demonic power category, how can we run Slug at his maximum efficiency, right? Well, it's actually pretty easy, right? The new Fu that came out, the new Demigra that came out, and the Easy 8 for Mechikabura, wherever he is at right here, Mechikabura, whatever, however you want to call him, right? These characters are going to fit in right here. Oh, and guess who's on this category? Boom, bam, bop, right? 3 really good Gohan characters. Bop, bada, bop, boom, right? 4 really good units, right? LR Orange Piccolo, still a really, really good character, right? A character like Buhan, he could fit in on here, right? Like this guy, this Easy A, like people sleep on this Easy A for sure. He is still really good, right? Is he top 10 anymore? No, but he's still really good, right? Free-to-play Devilman, shout out to him. We got Fat Boo, he could run in here. Harudegarn, that's a more than acceptable character. Gohan and Piccolo, like you just look at this category, it is really good, right? And we run this guy right here, and it's going to put Slug in a good spot where we're going to be able to heal a lot. We've got the domain going, not hard to get, right? An additional attack, there's a great chance to become a super attack, extra attack and defense on top of the damage reduction. The super attack effects that he has a chance to stun, and we're just going to be able to run a really, really good, like, team that has a lot of synergy, right? You run a Gohan rotation, and then you run Slug with somebody else, right? Or you run 2 Slug rotations. We run a rotation of like Fu and Mechikabura, or we run like Demigra and Mechikabura. Like, these rotations are going to work out just fine, and overall, I think it's going to just make for a really fun time running this character. So I think that this TUR, they did a really good job with him, and he easily earns a spot in Z for me. So there you guys have it, right? Let's kind of zoom out a little bit so you can see the final result here if you just want to take a screenshot. Again, don't look into the order too much here if you are just coming to the end. This is what I've got so far for you for the November 2024 tier list. I don't foresee any major changes to this list for the rest of the month. We're kind of moving into that like pre-anniversary lull where we're going to get like, you know, a Carnival LR, maybe one more Dokkan Fest, I think. And then we'll be the straight shot at the New Year's and the anniversary. So there you guys have it. I hope you enjoyed this longer video. Don't forget to leave a like if you did and subscribe if you were new so you don't miss out on any of the Dokkan content that I'm posting around here. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.